Welcome to a new episode of Mobility and Inclusion. My name is Hart Markarian, and my guest today is Jenna Coburn. She is a social media manager for an Access Medical Rehab, which is a durable medical equipment manufacturer that provides custom wheelchairs to adults and children throughout California, Arizona, Hawaii, and the Pacific Islands, as well as other services that we're going to cover throughout the podcast. Jenna, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Likewise, I gave a quick introduction about you. We know that you work at um, Rehab Medical or Access Medical Rehab, I should say.
Yes.
Um, and before we get into what they do, let's talk about who Jenna is and how she got into this role.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So my name is Jenna, like you said. I'm 22. I currently live in Palm Springs, which is about 2 hours from LA. I am in a wheelchair. When I was about 8 months old, I was diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy. And for those who don't know, that's basically just like deterioration of the muscles as you age. So I've been in a wheelchair since I was 3. Um, and like you said, I work as a social media manager. I actually started working when I was 16. At the time, a family member owned a makeup company and they needed someone to run social media. So being 16, I was like, that sounds amazing. So I started doing that. And from there, I've just progressed. I really liked it. So I decided to stick with it. And I'm so happy I did. I'm 22 now, so I'm going on 6 years of doing this.
Wow, it's quite a bit of time.
It is, yeah. So, kind of how I got started with Access Medical, it's kind of a story of just chance. They were opening a new location out here in Palm Springs, and I was going grocery shopping, and they were actually opening a location right next to a grocery store. Um, and so I walked by, and they had been like renovating the building for a few weeks, and just by chance, when I was walking by, the owner of Access Medical, his name is Blaine, he was there and he said hi to me. And I was like, hi, what are you guys doing here? And he was like, funny that you asked. We actually, he explained to me what it is. And he's like, we work on wheelchairs, is what we do. And he was like, are you happy with your wheelchair company? And I was like, not really. Um, so he gave me his business card. We started talking. And as we were talking about getting me a new wheelchair, I mentioned to him what I did, and he was kind of like, "Oh my God, that sounds amazing. Let me see if you can help." So from there, I started working with them, and I've been doing it for almost a year now.
Oh, that's awesome. So this is fairly recent.
It is, yeah. I started in the beginning of this year, 2022.
Mhm.
Um, and I love it. It's an amazing company. Um, it's a fun job.
Yeah.
And I don't think that a lot of people can say that, but it truly is a fun job and I love it.
That's amazing. It's important to for any person really to love what they do, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And on top of it, I've heard many stories from many other people with disabilities telling me about the difficulties of finding a job,
Correct.
right? So yeah, we're gonna let's talk a little bit about that, right? Before you started with Access Medical, um, I know you said a family member,
Yeah,
had a business, but that's a family member, right? They're kind of like programmed to give you the position, right? If you will. Yeah.
absolutely.
Uh,
Um,
did
so
did you have any other experiences where you applied for a job and you were turned down for whatever reason?
So
I mean, you're fairly young, so.
I am very young. So my career in social media marketing actually started a little bit before my cousin. I owned and managed a Instagram page that had 500,000 followers. So from there, I kind of got into the business side of things, of doing brand deals and working with companies and things like that, you know?
Mhm.
So when I had that experience, that was a complete startup, right? I did do it with my cousin in conjunction with her, but that was more not necessarily a job. That was more something to do on the fun, and money just kind of grew from it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So then when I started working for the makeup company, I did that for about 4 years. Um, and I actually got pretty sick. And I had to take about a year off from working. And that was kind of a hard situation for me. For as like disabled people, we a lot of times your how should I say this? A lot of times your productivity can be associated with how much you're working, you know? And I'm sure that like able-bodied people struggle with that thought some as well. So not working for a year was actually pretty hard for me.
Mhm.
Um, Once I got to a point that I was able to have my health under control, um, I from there, my uncle, who is like one of my best friends, he previously worked for NBC out here in Palm Springs. And I would go to work with him. I did go to college for some time to work in journalism. And from there, I met his boss, and his boss is David. And David we were hanging out one night, and he was like, I want to start a radio station. And I said, okay, fun. If you're going to do that, I want to help you. So I kind of just inserted myself in his life. And he was like, awesome, you want to help? Let's do it. So I started working for David in 2020, January 2020, I started working for David. And I managed the radio station for him. Um, and I'm still doing that to this day. So I
That's
will say I have been extremely privileged to have consistent work whenever I've been able to. And
that's
yeah,
Yeah, that's really great. I'm happy that you're saying that because other interviews that I've conducted, they
yeah,
always had you know complaint, if you will, about not finding jobs, and not because there aren't any jobs. It's because people aren't offering them the positions because of their condition.
absolutely. Yeah, no, and I have so many friends in the community that's their exact same story as well.
Mhm.
And I recognize my privilege so much. I truly do.
Well, you know, it's funny you're saying you're using the word privilege because it's you know having a job and being able to retain a job shouldn't be a privilege, right? It should be uh something that we should all have access to, and based on meritocracy, if that's I'm saying the word, but based on your merits, right? That's what I mean. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's I kind of lost my tongue there. But um unfortunately that's not being the situation, but I'm very happy to know that you've consistently were able to find yourself in positions where you always had employment. Now I
No,
want to go back to something you said earlier about your productivity is determined by how much you work.
right.
Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to kind of get into it, disabled people are viewed by society as uh almost like freeloaders. Like we want to live off of Social Security. We want food stamps. We don't want to do anything. We don't want to be productive members of society. And that's how society views us. That could not be more far from the truth because, like me and you have talked about already so far, so many disabled people want to work.
Yeah.
They want to have a job. They want to do these things. But like you said, it's companies, as unfortunate as it is, not everyone is as progressive as they need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And progressive might not even be the right word because as much as we have equal
Maybe inclusive would be a better word, right?
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
As much as we have like equal opportunity employers, it doesn't always mean that they actually are, right?
Absolutely. And I can't agree with you more. And this, this reminds me to, intention and action, right? Our intention is, we want to be inclusive, but then,
Absolutely. Yeah,
but when it comes down to applying inclusivity and, in our daily lives, now,
exactly. And so like so kind of talking about like productiveness, almost having like a negative effect on like people's mental health, you know? So
mhm,
it's like because of the way the society already views us, that's something that is so ingrained in this like human society that that's gonna take years to dismount.
yeah,
And it shouldn't be the case that this shouldn't even be something that we have to dismount, but unfortunately it is. And so like with that being said, I have had to reflect a lot on myself as far as like internalized ableism. Have you heard that term before?
internalized ableism.
Yes.
All right, let's expand on that word, on that term.
So internalized ableism is when, so I as a disabled person, let me give you an example. So growing up, I always felt the need to overachieve in every aspect of my life to make up for the fact that I was disabled, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So I graduated high school a year early and I was top four in my class and I was doing high school and college at the same time. Great. But I can confidently say that I was almost trying to prove something to myself of you're not that disabled. It's not that bad, right? And so, but those were thoughts, those were negative thoughts I was having about myself, right? And so when you have internalized ableism, it basically stems from being ableist, as cliche as it sounds, being ableist towards yourself. So
Mhm.
that can be in ways of, like I said, pushing myself so much harder because I thought I needed to prove something. It can be feeling like a burden to your family members or caregivers, you know?
Yeah.
So these are all things that we've grown up hearing, you know? And like, I will say, where I grew up in the early 2000s versus where we are as a society now, there's been a big improvement in inclusivity. There's people in wheelchairs on TV. There's people in wheelchairs modeling, acting, doing all these things, right? But
Mhm.
I never saw that growing up
Yeah.
because this was like the early
So
2000s.
let me ask you a question. So
Yeah,
um, it might be a bit of a controversial question, but that's why we're here for, right?
yeah, I love it.
Um, so when you talk about people modeling and people doing various stuff. Well, let me digress. Before I say that,
Okay.
I want to ask, aren't you happier today that you pushed yourself so hard? Because in my eyes, that really differentiated you from your peers, right?
Absolutely.
All that effort, all that energy, all that, hustle that you did to prove something to yourself actually, progressed in your own life and turned out, you turned out to be the person that you are today, being top four in your class, starting 1 year earlier in college, doing high school and college at the same time. I mean, how many people can say that today, you
No,
know?
I know you're absolutely right. I completely agree with you. I am so happy that I did that. that is not all something that I regret or anything. I wish that my motive behind doing it was doing it for academics or whatever.
Mhm.
But I can almost confidently say my motive of doing it was the internalized ableism in my head.
I agree with you 100%,
Okay.
right? But and you're right, maybe the motive was in the wrong place, right?
But
But
I'm so
sometimes,
happy I did it.
yeah, but sometimes, that, for lack of a better word, quote unquote, the wrong motive that we have
Yeah,
puts us in a differentiated field where only few are playing on versus all the rest, right? So
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's beautiful. In many ways, I think people today are becoming more and more lazy. And just to have you speak this way and show what you had to go through to be where you are today, to be top 4 in your class, to start college a year early, to do college and high school at the same time. These are things that require a lot of effort, energy,
Yeah.
dedication. And a lot of people cannot say, or I can say that about a lot of people, that they're putting everything they have to differentiate themselves and to be in a better place, ultimately, because I believe every one of us is responsible for their future.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah. And the other thing I was going to talk about, you talked about modeling, acting, and whatever other stuff. Right. And all that is great. And you're right. I see that more and more right now.
Yeah.
And under the title of inclusion, inclusivity, and, do you think that's genuine?
Do I think that's genuine? That's a very good question. Um, I think that it can be situationally, right? Because nowadays, um, let me see how to put this. Nowadays, it almost feels like disabled people are a box that they need to check to be quote unquote inclusive,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, with that being said, a lot of times I've noticed in TV shows, and I could be wrong by saying this, but there's, a bunch of different ethnicities of people, um, everything like that. But then there will only be like one disabled person. Okay. So with that being said, the disabled person, whether they're a main character or a side character or something like that, there's typically only one of them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's where for me at least, it feels like a box that we're checking. Because if it was genuine, there would be more than one, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There would
Yeah.
be a main character and a side character and different things like that. But I will say, there on the other side of that coin, there I do believe that there are so many companies out there that are actively trying to make themselves more inclusive. And for a lot of companies, it is genuine.
Yeah.
I think that where there's a line between disingenuous and genuine. And I think that where that line is drawn is where whenever you're creating a fashion show, clothing line, TV show, and it has someone with a disability or it's geared towards disabilities,
Mm-hmm.
um, it depends on whether or not you're consulting a disabled person beforehand.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of TV shows love to throw someone in a wheelchair in, and it's kind of like not really fitting the storyline or it's not making sense, right?
Absolutely, I can't agree with you more. And that's so. I don't know if you know, I am the founder of an assistive robotics startup, right? And
Yes.
our goal is to reimagine independent living and accessibility.
Hmm.
And when I started the company, I didn't know what product to go to market with, right? I didn't know what the people needed, right?
Yeah.
So to your point, I had to go and ask people who were living in these conditions and situations to tell me how my product or service that I was going to release we're going to ultimately help them improve their lives, impact their lives in any way, right? So
Right.
including people with disabilities in the finding in finding the solution, right? Or formulating the solution has a big impact on how the business turns out in general.
Absolutely. I want to piggyback off of that a little bit. That reminds me of so Access Medical. One of the first meetings that I was in when I very first started, we were working on redesigning our website. And so it was a bunch of us in this meeting, and our creative director was going through some of the things, right? And Blaine, the owner of Access Medical, he was in a meeting, and he asked a question about how to refer to disabled people on our website. Should we call them patients? Should we call them wheelchair users? What should we call them? Um, and I feel like someone started to answer, and then I remember Blaine was like, "Oh, Jenna, would you mind answering this one? Because truthfully, we're gearing this towards you. We're gearing this towards disabled people. I want to hear your input. That's why we have you here." And that was a moment for me where I truly felt that, like, as a disabled person, my opinion was valued and my opinion was asked for, you know?
Yeah,
And that
absolutely.
truly is a great feeling. Um, and I don't think I ever told Blaine this, but I was like, I applauded him and I had so much respect for him for doing that because that's such a small thing that a lot of business owners forget to do.
Absolutely. I can't agree with you more. I personally have had at least two that you know, I can say that carried me
Yeah,
throughout my startup journey. And because I'm trying to serve people with disabilities,
yeah,
and I'm not coming from that community, right? So I had to learn a lot of stuff. I had to learn what to say, what not to say, how to phrase certain things. So it's been an educational journey for me, and I can't. I wouldn't have it any other way, just having those. And if you think about business, just in general business, if you're working in metallurgy, let's say,
hmm,
right, you don't go ask a plumber how to heat treat a metal, right?
absolutely, yeah,
So it's the same concept. And I don't know why people have such a hard time grasping this straightforward concept.
absolutely. No, yeah, I agree, and I applaud you for
Yeah.
doing that in your startup.
Yeah. So yeah, let's shift gears a little bit. Talk about so um, you know I'm currently raising funds for my startup, right?
Right.
And in order to do that, I have to be able to articulate the problem that my target customers are having and what my solution is, right? So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to tell you what the problem is that I'm trying to solve,
Okay.
and then I'm going to give you the solution, and you tell me how good of a job I did in explaining you what I'm doing, right?
Okay, awesome. Yeah.
So the problem is twofold. The problem is on the people with disability side and the caregiver side, right?
Right.
So on the people with disability side, they are dependent, right, and unsafe while performing various tasks
Yes.
throughout their day,
Yes.
various routine tasks. On the caregiver side, they're overloaded, in short supply, and they're expensive to acquire,
Yeah.
right? So that's the problem that we are addressing. Now, when it comes to the solution that we're offering, we are a robotics company, right? So we developed the ground robotic assistant for care enablement. And all that the robot does is allow individuals to perform various tasks, routine tasks throughout the day, safely and independently. Moreover, the robot will uh, reduce caregiver burnout and other, you know, care costs, various care costs associated from people fall injuries, basically,
Yeah.
right? Because people with mobility challenges, people in wheelchairs, often fall because they're trying to reach towards an item or trying to pick something up or, conduct a certain task. Correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So, okay, now you grade me. How well did I do?
I think you did amazing. That sounds great. That sounds like you exactly understand both sides, right?
Mhm.
And that is huge because so my girlfriend is also my caregiver. We're the same age, we're both 22. But she's been taking care of me not full time since we were like 17.
Mhm.
And that's a lot. And I completely understand her side of things as to that can be a lot sometimes.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
a very high maintenance person. I want to spend 2 hours doing my makeup. We're gonna spend an hour doing my hair. I'm gonna do a hair mask in the shower. So it's like I'm very pleased to hear that you understand both sides of things. Um, and yeah, you did amazing.
Awesome, awesome. That's great. And um do you think you'd be interested in testing the robot once it's ready?
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds so amazing. I would love to test it out. Can I explain to me? So it's a robot that picks things up. It has hands? Explain it to me some more.
Yeah, so the robot is a mobile robot, so it moves around. It's not stationary, right?
Awesome.
It will have probably three cameras on it,
Okay,
right?
awesome.
It will have a screen like the face of the robot
Yeah,
where you can communicate to other people with as well, and other people can tap into remotely log into the robot to see
wow.
if you need something. And
Yeah.
yes, you will be able to manipulate the robot to retrieve items, to place items, to declutter
Mhm.
the path, declutter the
Yeah,
wheelchair path, if you will,
yeah.
and that type of stuff. So the other thing I want to ask you, what do you think you would need help with in order for you to say, yes, this is very much needed in my daily life?
Well, so I can confidently say from what you just said, I already need it in my daily life. So my form of SMA, short for spinal muscular atrophy,
Mhm.
I have type 2. I am on treatment and I am considered a weaker type 2. But that basically means I can sit independently. I can do all these things, but I can't feed myself. I can only move my arms if I have them propped up under a pillow.
Mhm.
I cannot brush my hair. I can only brush my teeth if my arms are propped up on a pillow. Um, if my hand falls off my joystick, I'm not able to do it. So that's where my biggest issue kind of is in life, is only being able to be left home alone for an hour or two.
Yeah.
Because if my hand falls, I'm kind of just stuck. If
Mhm.
I drop my phone, I'm kind of just stuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's just say there was a robot that could do all of those things that would open up the possibilities of my life immensely.
Mhm.
So, like I said, my girlfriend is my caregiver. Um, my mom also steps in sometimes, or my older sister,
Yeah.
um, to like give her breaks, or if she wants to go do something, like go have like a day to herself or whatever, get a haircut. Then I have to, ask my sister to come over or something. Um, my my girlfriend does get paid by the state to take care of me, and like she does like work from home jobs and things like that.
Mhm.
But I would love for her to feel comfortable going out for hours at a time, or
Yeah.
even getting an office job, and that
Yes.
would change the dynamic of my life, caregiving wise, but also like me wise,
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
being able to
absolutely.
just do all those things on my own. Um, it's really funny that you tell me about this. I'm in a group chat with a bunch of other people in wheelchairs. and one of my friends said, I just got an email from my accountant and I paid, I think it was $150,000 the last year paying someone to roll me over at night.
Wow.
He paid that out of pocket. And he was like, if anyone has any devices that could make that happen, I would love to have $150,000 in my pocket instead.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Well,
yeah, I think we all would, honestly, you know?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can see that from both angles, right? Yes, $150,000 is a lot for just someone to roll you over, right?
Yeah,
But at the same time, if you think about the workload that a robot must do
yeah,
safely
yes,
to roll a person over,
yeah,
um, that's going to be a very expensive robot.
yes,
Uh, and and all I'm saying here is that I understand both arguments, right? Uh,
absolutely, yeah,
so to concisely kind of conclude this segment of our conversation, I'll say that there's still work to be done
yeah,
to improve a lot of the caregiving aspect, for people with disabilities.
yeah.
And maybe my company is just a start, right? When we'll see where we go from here.
I'm excited to see where you go from here.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go on my website, markbotics.com, you can see a rendering of what the robot, does, or couple of capabilities of the robot that will be able to perform for you.
Yeah,
And now let's shift gears to, you know, medical access medical.
yes.
So let's talk about who are they serving. I mostly wheelchair users, but let's kind of dive deep into that. Where are their target customers, and how can a show like this really help assist Access Medical to have a bigger impact?
Yeah, absolutely. So, currently we serve, I think you mentioned in the beginning, California, Arizona, Hawaii, and the Pacific Islands.
Mm-hmm.
We are working on branching out and expanding to hopefully all of America. Um, but so who we serve, um, basically anyone with mobility issues, right? So whether it's you need a wheelchair part-time or someone like me who needs a wheelchair full-time with a custom joystick, custom seating system, um, custom fitted everything, right? So we kind of do the high end of things and the not so high end of people's needs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we provide them with fully custom wheelchairs. I mean, like to the very inch that you need it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and so we provide wheelchairs, but also we do repairs. So if you need new batteries or you break your joystick or you're just not comfy in your chair, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
So how do you let's say I have a wheelchair, I'm in Hawaii. Um, what's the process of you repairing my wheelchair?
yeah, absolutely. So you're in Hawaii and you need something happens, your wheelchair breaks, you need it repaired. So we have three ways of getting in contact with us. One, you can call us. Our phone number is listed on our website, accessmedicalrehab.com. You can submit a form on our website as well. Or you can just send me a message on the Access Medical Instagram page and I will do the heavy lifting for you. I'll get you in contact with our scheduling team. You tell us the issue, someone will call you within 48 hours. They will set up an appointment for you, and someone will hopefully be out to your house within the next 7 days.
Oh no, wow, that's good.
Yeah.
So there's no wheelchair shipping and stuff like that. You actually go there to, which may I mean which I guess makes sense. I know it's also more convenient to avoid further damage of the wheelchair, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we in all the states that we serve, we have locations there.
Oh, okay,
So
perfect.
we have staff on site that will drive to your house, perform the repairs there. Let's
Hmm.
say that you have a repair that it's gonna be a minute, right? Like we have to order parts
Yeah.
or it's gonna take a lot. Um, we'll come to your house, we'll pick up the chair. We will actually give you a loaner chair for free from
Hmm.
our inventory, so you're not stranded without a wheelchair. And then we'll take it back to our warehouse, do all of the repairs, and then we'll drive it back to you.
That's awesome. That's that's it's great to know that there's such service. I wasn't sure how how that's being done, so thank you for clarifying
Yeah, of
that for
course.
us. And do you also sell, repair, sports wheelchairs like basketball and other?
Oh yeah, we do literally everything. We any types of wheelchairs, any type of wheelchair, we repair it, manufacture it,
That's
uh,
awesome.
adjustments, anything. Yeah.
That's really cool. So, you know, uh, what is Jenna's next milestone?
What's my next milestone? That's a great question. Um, I will say I'm at a point right now in my life where I'm genuinely happy, right? And I know that like that's kind of a weird cliche thing to say, but it's taken me a hot minute to get here. But so I'm 22. I own my own car. I rent my own house. I go to the office whenever I feel.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm genuinely happy. So as far as my next move, um, this might sound kind of cliche again, but I'd like to buy a house. I currently live in Palm Springs. I really like the San Diego area.
Yeah.
So I'd love to buy a house out there within the next 10 years. Let's manifest that. Um, I I'm really happy with where I'm at for work. I do technically work freelance, so turning what I do into an agency would definitely be a long-term goal. Yeah,
And finally, a message of encouragement to anyone really striving for greatness.
absolutely. I mean, kind of what we talked about in the beginning. You are the only one that can push yourself to do it, you know? As disabled individuals, there's it's not as easy for us as it is for everyone. We can't walk into a Walmart and apply for a job because that might not be something we can physically do.
Mhm.
But in the same sentence, there are jobs and employers out there that are not only willing to work with you, but they would love to.
Yeah,
And it's you have to remind yourself to not get burnt out from the job search and not feel discouraged. And even if you've applied to 10 positions in 1 week, do it again next week. It's going to be worth it.
absolutely. I thank you so much, Jenna. I couldn't have said better. Thank you for being here. I hope to see you soon again. Maybe we'll do another
Yeah.
show together on a different topic this time.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Let's do it.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.
You as well. Bye.